You know what's funny, Max, what you said about, you know, the conversations about could this possibly be extended? And that is always kind of a persistent topic of conversation in daytime, as how, you know, like when you have something that works, boy, do you want it to work for as long as it can. And sometimes that desire to make it last as long as you can diminishes the story, right? Some stories are not meant to be year-long stories. They're meant to be 6-month stories. They're meant to be, 9-month stories. And looking back on what ended up being your arc, how do you feel about that arc? Was the time that 2 years, 8 months, did that feel about right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sure ended up right, and it ended up in a balance, because while some people are ready for it to be over, you know, and there is a larger percentage of people dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's that goes on for a long time, you know.
Yeah,
so I think that in that way of honoring that, I think that, you know, on that last day, in a short part of the conversation with Frank, and now I can't say her name, the wonderful actress who plays the nurse, that I had a wonderful set of scenes with her in the chapel.
Becky, was it Becky?
Yes, yeah. I'm totally blank, because she was just wonderful, and it was a great experience and stuff. And she came over, and, you know, we shared that, and
it's awesome.
And Frank said, yeah, that's when we decided that we needed to, you know, that there were more legs on this story than we had in mind. So they were coming up with ways to keep Mike involved. You know, I had buried the body, you know, I had, you know, and there was a part of that I physically redug a grave, you know. I mean, I've used a shovel a lot, you know what I mean? I worked road crews and stuff, you know what I mean? It was like, and lifted that body out of the grave, maybe even if it was a shallow grave, and carried it and put it in the trunk of my car, you know, and drove it up somehow, because of the idea this was going to be, you know what I mean? Where there were some things that were just really, really a stretch. And there were things about, you know, not knowing when I'm telling him I remember, I don't know what I remember, you know what I mean? And Mike spent a lot of time not knowing things. So it wasn't just that, but so there was a stretch in there with the marriage, you know, that I just felt like we were on another kind of ground. And I do feel that, while, you know, every form of, you know, whether it's, you know, the hipness of HBO and Netflix or primetime TV or big films or small, you know, everything has its own conceits, you know, its own, suspension of disbelief and all of that. And so does the real world. It's just, look at what's going on, you know, it's just weird as anything. And so, you know, but I feel like there was something rooted in the Alzheimer's experience that gave everybody something to, you know, Mo and I talked once, you know, because he doesn't like it to get too big. And I say, well, you know, I don't, you know, I don't know if there's a right and wrong, you know, and you know, and you know, a lot of things like that, just not knowing and exploring, but caring. And it drew together all the people that were drawn into that circle with a chance. Steve, I remember, you know, you doing the scene with the earthquake. And, you know, like great theater, you know, I mean, it was happening, and it was happening in your plane, and, you know, so without the great big fancy expensive production benefits that would have turned the scene into a week's work, you know, so that can be done. And as actors, we know that, you know, and at the same time, there is something about that wonderful involvement with soaps around the village gossip, what's going on, to kind, you know, and the chops that people bring to it is extraordinary, and commitment and all of that, you know, everybody all the way around. And so that's an incredible thing. But with this particular story, I think it gave people a chance to be more, you know, sincere.
Yeah, I mean, it's
in a certain way, you know?
Yeah, I told you yesterday that, first of all, when somebody's perfectly cast, like Mark Teschner has this magic touch of finding people. Like, I can't even imagine anyone else coming in and doing what you did, but bringing the energy, the depth of acting that you have, and having that connection with Maurice, that just made this story. You couldn't take your eyes off you guys, right? And it's like, even just walking around the building, anytime I see you guys together, I'm like, I got to watch this scene. And it's so awesome to see, because General Hospital does a great job with social issues, right? And stories.
Yes.
But this has to be one of the greatest stories that they told. And, you know, I know you don't like to take a lot of credit, and you're very humble, but
no, I think I'm pretty realistic.
Well, but Max, I mean, the job that you did coming in here, and because Brad, like I told you before, Bradford and I, we were doing a 4-hour hang with some fans, and people bring it up all the time, and they thank us. They're like, "Thank you guys for doing it." I go, "Thank Max Gail and General Hospital, because they're the ones who brought this story, alive and touched so many people." I don't remember a story touching this many people, Bradford.
Well, and I can't recall an instance on Twitter or anywhere in social media where they're like, "My God, this Alzheimer's storyline just keeps dragging on." No, like I didn't hear anyone have that reaction. Where
nobody did.
Where normally, no matter how good the story is, if it's a storyline that has been played for a while, somebody's gonna say, "Hey, I'm tired of seeing this." I didn't hear that once anywhere, which I gotta say is probably a first.
Well, of course, that's very cool. That's better than, you might consider another line of work, or don't ever do that in public again, or, but yes, Mo and I were alive, together right from the first reading.
Yeah.
Right from when we started, and I'm looking at him and just taking that moment, and he has that gift with a lot, and you guys support it. I mean, the way it's people asked me about humor the other day in another phone conversation I was in and stuff, and there can be a lot of tension on comedy sets, but I mean, the way you guys tease each other has always got that honoring under it, of when we actually get these moments that we get to do the work.
Right. Yeah. Max, I don't watch the show often. But I saw on social media, Alicia Lee Willis, who was on the show years ago, who plays Courtney, who's the one who kind of took you to heaven.
Yeah. Yes.
It looked visually, it looked so amazing, like how they did it. Did you see the end result of it?
I did.
Yeah, I thought they did a really great job, man. It was so touching. It was just like, I thought it couldn't have been better.
Yeah. Well, first of all, she had this beautiful energy, and Maurice said that's pretty much what she looked like when she left the show, but she was so present and generous and loving and gorgeous and all of that.
Well,
hey,
Max,
man, well, we're all the better for having you with us.
Yeah, we thank you so much, man. Again, there hasn't been anybody who's come to our show and brought so much just love and compassion and just willingness and openness as an artist that so many people could connect with. And the story, obviously, you said it yesterday on the phone to me, it takes a village to do the story for sure. But you were a great leader and a great example. So I really appreciate the time that I got with you.
That is really cool. That's what I was going for. I mean, and I found it there. I knew I just wanted to give it, my all, and hoped it would be enough. And I found it, matching up all the way. So, so back at you. But thank you. I accept, and I'm honored by what you've just shared with me, and I'll never forget it.
Awesome, man. Well,
thank you
thank you for everything, and it's hopefully it's a see you later and not a goodbye.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Much love.
Amen.
Thank
all
you.
right, man. Thanks, Max. Wow, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. So we get to do cool stuff like this. We appreciate it.
For sure. All right. Have a great week.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.